Okay, good morning, everybody. I think I'm here with you. You just see my picture, now you see me. And welcome to You Change the World, and welcome to those who are overseas. This is today 10 a.m. in New York. It's 4 p.m. in in Europe. It's 3 p.m. in the UK, etc., etc. I just want to also welcome you on different channels of social media: LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and X, Twitter. Those are the channels where we are. And on the podcast side, you have Spotify, you have Amazon, you have Apple, and I think a couple of others, but those are the ones where you are. And finally, for those who are on YouTube or are not on YouTube, but will be on YouTube maybe another day, please subscribe. And I tell you why. Subscribe, I think everybody, in fact, invites people to subscribe on their YouTube channel. And the reason is, of course, to have audience and that we work for you, but in the same time, it increased the content, it increased the momentum for us to maintain every week. As I said, we are planning for 2025 to become more frequent, probably every other day. But for doing that, I need more prescribers on YouTube and on the newsletter as well on LinkedIn. So all of those things require your subscription and our appreciation that you are joining us for all the things that we try to do. Today, we have a theme that, of course, is each time I talk about something, those themes are very dear to me. And it is definitely about leadership. And leadership in the sense that you engage people and you're inspiring people. And it's not for everyone to do. And you can be an individual contributor in an organization where you work. You can be a professional, one person only, but you still impact people. You can impact your customers, you impact your suppliers, your partners, everybody you're interacting with. And when you have this role of leading or having a model to demonstrate your own model, your own personality, your own influence, then obviously you have to be more intentional about what you bring to the world and what you bring to those people. And if someone chooses to be a leader, to manage people at any level, you have just already one single person reporting to you. I know it's a challenge. And why do I know? Because every day I have people that I'm coaching that starts for the first time a role of managing people. And it's not a panic. It's not like a big emotional thing. It's just that they understand they have a huge accountability going on. To be accountable is what really, in fact, counts the most in any organization or community. When you take a responsibility, when you're part of a community or you're part of a group of people, when you take a lead for something, that means you make yourself accountable and everybody that goes with you because they are working for you or report to you. And in this kind of relationship, everybody works together for the same goal. But sometimes, because we work for another company or it's just an employer, like the employer thinks the same about you, even there is integrity, it's still a separation. We're not the same family. We not belong to the same, we don't necessarily share the same cause, the same ideology, or whatever. We are separate entities. Because of that, there is a risk that you detach yourself from accountability when other people are counting on you for delivering something. So when you take a lead on something, that means you take responsibility. But this is something that many people forget along the way. You are distracted by so many things. You are distracted from the mission that you play just because something else happens, even a family emergency, something. And you made a commitment to other people about something and you're just disconnected from that commitment. That's where we need to try to see how to counterbalance any risk of disconnecting from this accountability. Because when you are, there is consequences. And when the consequences happen, then they come back to you and it really pays you back. Sometimes very hardly, and sometimes your own people that are part of your team. Everybody pays the price. of having disconnected for a good reason, by the way. There's a good excuse, maybe, but the outcome is that it has consequences on other people. So if we want to change the world, as we always say, or have an impact on someone, or change someone from the leadership or from the model that you represent, or the concept, the idea, the brand, right? Or yourself, just yourself as a person, you represent yourself. What's going to happen if this disconnection happens and then you forget that you were accountable? Accountable. Other people are counting on you, a customer, an employer, a friend, a relative in your family. Then I go to one step deeper. You're accountable to them too. So this accountability is something that I try to emphasize today. This is the theme that we have to discuss. And of course, I want to also say that you can comment on the comment line for LinkedIn, I think, and YouTube. I'm sure there is comment lines in other places for those social media. There's another way also of maybe participating is that I'm purposely on Zoom and streaming from Restream, which is my studio, but usually I was always on the studio line. Now I do this from Zoom. For what reason? Is that if you're interested to join me here on a forum setting, several people, only one, and I see you coming in the waiting room, then I will get you in and we can just live be together and sharing different ideas in front of everyone. So that's the idea. I think I'm going to start opening this forum a little bit informally now. For those who are listening and watching and want to participate, all you have to do is to send me a message on LinkedIn that I hopefully will see. When I see it, I'll send you a link, and that link will connect you to me. Then you'll get to a waiting room, and then I will let you in. Okay? That's the way I think we can make this work. So do not hesitate a second. If you want to come and join me here in this space, I will be more than happy to welcome you. Again, we'll try it because, again, I didn't do this very often, and I'm sure I'll have your empathy in case something goes wrong. But I will look at your messages if I can get there, and when I see your message, I always send you the link. Okay, so we're talking about accountability, and for that reason, I want to emphasize two things. First, I'm thinking of Aristotle, who said that he who was never learned to obey cannot be a good commander, right? So if you never had this path where you were working for someone, or you were accountable to someone, or to a company, or to an employer, but you were accountable to a teacher, you were accountable to your parents when they were expecting something from you. So that he never learned to obey, then he cannot be himself or herself a good leader. So for that reason, it's where we're beginning. We're beginning leadership. We start the leadership, role and entity just there. The root, the very root of someone who is leading is that one. You learned how to obey in the sense of Aristotle, which doesn't really apply in 2024. It's not about obeying today, 2024. It's about aligning. It's about probably understanding what's expected of you, and then having your commitment because you're engaged. And you'll do the same with the people who you lead, that you want them to engage. And when they engage, I always think of the handshake, that at one point in time, there was no need for a contract that everybody would sign with a lawyer. A handshake would suffice in a transaction. And it's very transactional, by the way. We have an agreement that you are accountable, you accept this accountability, and I'm counting on you now, and I will look at you now being accountable for whatever we defined that you are going to deliver, right? That's very standard leadership, but it's so important. So I didn't want to leave that, before we finish the year, and we're getting close to that this year we can include accountability into this image of changing the world. Because if people become accountable, and sincerely so, and real, true, and sincere and authentic accountability, we live in a good world because we can count on these people. That's extraordinary, right? And that's the basic, but it's not so easy. We cannot take that for granted, that someone is going to do what you think that this person is going to do. Or did we understand each other Is there clarity between us in the communication that you understand what your accountability is? And that's maybe also another point I want to mention today, very important in the communication, is that if you make someone accountable in your leadership, you better make sure that that person understands what that person is accountable for. For that, in the communication, sometimes I push people in a way. I'm never pushing, I'm just inspiring, but with a little insistence that people exaggerate the clarity. You hear me clearly? Exaggerate the clarity. Exaggerating the clarity, like amplifying, like caricaturing to this extent that you are going to insist that this person got the message, that there is no ambiguity at all. The VUCA thing, the volatility, ambiguity, all of those things that sometimes companies have a culture to maintain is usually a proof of uncertainty, a proof of lack of the clarity, lack of confidence. And I would say the leaders have this lack of confidence in themselves if they maintain ambiguity. It's not a good idea. I don't think it ever served any purpose. When you don't know something, let's say there is a reorganization, which happens now every single day. I never missed one person saying to me, "Oh, André, from the last time we met, you have no idea how many things happened. We are in a reorganization status." I love it. People are very concerned. They feel very unstable because there's always a reorg. They change bosses and things like that. I mean, there is one company last year, especially, or the last 2 years, that I would say in average, people would maintain their boss in an average of 5 to 7 weeks and then switch to a new one. That doesn't make sense, right? You can't even have the time to start leading someone because 7 weeks is nothing. I think it would take maybe 6 months at least to start, getting an impact, an influence on someone, and start to align someone into your own dynamic, so that the person really goes after clear goals, and you have this accountability clarified. So one factor of accountability is time. Definitely, it takes a little time to create the trust and build the clarity so that the person becomes accountable. So that's definitely clear. The factor of time is very important. So in an environment where every 7 weeks the organization changes, that's not a good environment for good accountability. We are already killing it. It's totally a killer. And that's what I'm trying to say to all stakeholders, that if they do not build something stable, at least with intentions to make it stable, at the end of the day, it makes it so volatile, like a stock in the stock market, so volatile that we can't rely on it. And if you can't rely on someone, how can you make that person accountable? We are destroying the whole concept here from A to Z. And that's what I think, we need also to take this into consideration. To manage a company in the proper way and have impact and efficiency, accountability is the key. And I'm sure I'm saying the obvious. I'm always saying the obvious. It's very, very simple and very basic what we're talking about here. But we have to remind ourselves that those are values and foundations for good business and good outcomes, profitability, long term, bigger picture, trying to structure something, and in the structure, within a framework and clarity, people feel safe. We talk a lot about safety, and psychological safety, how a leader is responsible also for that. You cannot create trust and a solid, high-performing team without the element of clarity and the element of reliability. You can't. Nothing stands, nothing sticks to nothing. So you need to anchor all of that. It needs to be stable. It needs to be very, I think the word anchored is a very good word. Like planted. We need to do this. Otherwise, we don't get anywhere. So now we all know that. What is now going beyond authority in leadership? Because the leadership is about trust. It's about collaboration, shared purpose. It's about commanding, and it's about being respected for what we do. People need to get inspired by you. If they have no purpose, they're not motivated, and things are going to be, again, loose, extremely superficial, not getting anywhere. After that, we have to overcome some fear and uncertainties that are always on the way. Now, you've got individuals that have their own issues. And I always have to make this point in the coaching that make the big distinction between what's personal. Someone would be depressed, come to work with tons of negativity and toxicity. And if I would be the leader and see that, I would show I care for the person, but in the same time, I would ask the person to keep this outside the team because I don't want, this is very contagious, right? Negativity and toxicity. If someone is negative at a dispute with his spouse, a partner, whatever, when that happens, you don't want that person to come and influence the whole group with this amount of negativity, right? So you will ask that person, caring for that person very sincerely, but you will try to monitor, manage, right, that the team remains safe and remains protected from this toxicity and this negativity. So this is also in your communication, in your perception, how you see things, how good you are at detecting a risk for the team to be disrupted by this kind of thing. So that's very important as well. And that's part of overcoming fear and uncertainty. The leader needs to always maintain a level of certainty. Now, you're going to tell me, oh, yeah, but if the whole organization falls apart, if there is an economical crisis, if we're in a depression, a recession, whatever, and how many times do we do this? It's a cycle, not only in the US, in the world. We always go by cycles of going up, going down. What do we do to maintain that stability in the mind of our people that we lead and in your own mind? First, it has to start with you, and then you can probably influence the other people. So this is what I think a leader should be always aware of. If we are in an unstable environment, if we are in an unstable world, what do I do personally with my own persona and my own, presence? How can I impact the people around me that, in fact, when you are with me and in this group of people, without making it fake, we can be in a very uncertain and unstable environment and still be very clear about our purpose and our accountability. And where we are clear about those things, and we have a goal for the day, whatever happens around us, we are completely focused. And this is really important. And even if something happens that disrupts you, like a fire drill, and you have to run out of the building, does it move anything from your commitment and from what you're accountable for? No. You carry this with you wherever you go. You have a cell phone. You go into a shelter. There is something to protect yourself and the whole group of people from, but you're still on target for whatever you want to accomplish. That phone will maybe allow you to do this from another place, remotely. We are used to that these days after the pandemic, right? We work virtually. Many people are working still from home today. All these things are new, but proves the point. You can maintain yourself accountable wherever you are at any time of the day, whatever happens around you, to some extent, obviously. So this is what I wanted to say. And then there's some pillars of authentic leadership. I think people will not be accountable if they do not feel that their leader or yourself as a leader is authentic, that we can trust you, that you are saying the truth. You're not manipulating. You're not creating a world that doesn't exist. And that's really essential to create trust. I think there's two elements, by the way, for trust. Just a parenthesis here, a side note. It's that, first of all, with trust with other people, you show that you care. I think that you show something sincerely, authentic about you, that you care. If you care for someone, the trust is going to come, no question about it. This is, in fact, how the merit comes back to you. You really get the reward for being caring to someone. You can get the reward of being trusted. That's really very key. And the second one is the authenticity, the fact that you're not lying, the fact that you're consistent, very consistent in the way you talk, you communicate, and when it comes from your heart. If there is something you need to hide, because the companies ask you not to announce something if there is something coming or not sharing. Obviously, you're the leader, and a leader above you tells you not to release an information. You're accountable for that, so you're not going to release it. So that's it. But that's maybe something external of you, not maybe surely external of you. You've been told not to say, we have been told not to share, then it's external of you. But you, the person, the leader, you're reliable, you're trustworthy, you're saying the truth always, you're very consistent. That creates a lot of trust because you show a scheme at the pattern of being a truthful person. People start to build that reputation. People say, you know what, with André, it's always something that is true. You can really rely on him. What he says is true. There's no narrative. What he says is true. It's what you see is what you get. Well, there's not many people who do that, but I'm telling you, it's also another key to engage people, and it's another key to make other people accountable. Delegation, an excellent example of how accountability can be so rewarding, is when you delegate. What do you do exactly? You tell someone to do something for you that you're not going to do, and you're going to have peace of mind, totally peace of mind, because that delegation really works. Why? Because you make that person accountable. That means that person owns it now. And the person is also agrees. This is also that person's responsibility to tell you that he or she got the message, she got the way you want that person to deliver. This is pure delegation. Count on me, leave it with me. I handle it. Now it's delegated. We also agree maybe on a progress report. You want to know and be informed of how things are progressing. Fine. You're delegating. The person delegated with the task will let you know how it's going. And you also eventually define, both of you, the way to communicate along the way so that you keep that peace of mind until things are delivered completely. And you're proud of the person you delegated this task to. And both are winners. It's a win-win proposal. That person wins, you win. And this thanks to what? Well, thanks to clear accountability, thanks to clear agreements between the two of you, and thanks to the trust that you and that person has in each other to make that task happen. And that's one of the foundation of high performance. You do this with a sales team, with an engineering team, with an accounting team, anywhere where you go in the organization. You do it that way. That's the way you lead. That's your style of leadership. It's about accountability. It's about trust. It's about deliverables. And it's about clarity of communication. Look, it's easier said than done. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm saying this is the foundation of it. It's the basic of it. This is what I want to bring over here to you, are those concepts, and simple ones, at least simple to explain and simple to understand, I hope. Tell me if it's not the case. Then after that, I will finish on this note, is to encourage you to reflect on what I said today with you, is to ask yourself what belief about yourself holds you back from making people accountable and yourself accountable. And how can you better align your leadership style with your personal values and make it clear to people that you lead about what those values are? Do you know yourself enough? Can you make yourself vulnerable and share with the people that you lead who you are, with the pros and sometimes the cons, the strength, sometimes let's call it the weaknesses. I don't like that word. That I would call them the opportunities of development. So, but I would say to them, I know I'm still working on this or on that. I'm not perfect. Or I hired you, John or Julie, because you complement me where I'm weak. I'm not good, for example, at analytics, or I'm not good at structuring a plan. I hired you to do this for us in the team, and I count on you to bring these skills, sets of skills that you have that I don't have, so that you complement me. That's how we do a high-performance team. That's how we create a high-performance team. So all those concepts, hopefully you took some notes. Maybe you can reflect on them. I want to leave you with these reflections. I think they're worth considering and spend time thinking about and discussing with your peers, with people around you about that. And offer to people a simple next step. For example, identify one courageous action to take this week that I'm asking usually my clients to take. An action that is courageous, that will prove that you're an accountable person. And this is also taking courage to say, yes, I take this accountability. I'm responsible for this. You count on me. I'll do it. And you say that to people. And again, consistency is going to create your brand, your reputation of being someone reliable. It's extraordinary, isn't it? That makes the company successful. That makes people with you successful and makes you successful. I think this is maybe one of the most important topic of all that we covered to this day, and I think hopefully you will remember them. And the last thing I can say is that it's recording in the same time. So if you want to go back to the recording, please do. And if you did not have the chance to be here when it was live, please use every channels that I mentioned, especially YouTube or LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram or X, Twitter, where you'll find the recording and it will be there on my profile, on the profile of André Politzer. You can also go to the website, www.coachingpath.com or andrepolitzer.com. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful weekend, and see you next week.